No.
Hello, everybody, and good morning. Welcome to the Top Producer Show. So our mission is to educate, equip, and train servant leaders. Our vision is to create financially independent achievers, and our purpose is to help people grow. And right now we're going over the book, The Unfair Advantage by Robert Kiyosaki. So before we jump into the next chapter, we're going to go ahead and invite some people onto here.
And Jennifer. And Stacy.
All right, and here we go. Oh, got a kitty joining us. No, don't walk on that.
Okay, so the cat's here.
Yep, she's here. Oh my.
And
okay.
crying. So today, David Robertson, what's happening? So you're going to file some stuff today, get some articles of incorporation, very cool. Chapter 2 of this book, taxes. The first thing he starts out with is taxes are not fair. Well, yeah, we know that. Those with financial education can earn more and pay less, even pay zero on millions of earnings. Why? Financial knowledge on taxes is an unfair advantage. The harder you work for money, the more you'll pay in taxes. The harder your money works for you, the less you'll pay in taxes. And the harder other people's money works for you, you pay even less in taxes. Taxes are also incentive, government stimulus programs to encourage people to do what the government wants done. So that's what you got to figure out. What does the government want done? For most people, taxes make them poor. The worst advice, in his point of view, is go to school, get good grades, get into a good college, get a degree, go get a job, go get a house, get an investment account, save money, invest for the long term in a diversified portfolio. It takes all four ways of making money to make the world go round. So he recognizes that, it's going to take a bunch of different people doing a bunch of different things. The cash flow quadrant itself, which is what, he's famous for, he said the quadrants are not necessarily professions. A doctor can be an employee. A doctor can also be self-employed. A doctor can be in big business, and a doctor can be an investor. What changed? What really changed is in 1943, the U.S. Congress passed the Current Tax Payment Act of 1943. What did it do? That tax act allowed employers to deduct taxes directly from an employee's paycheck. So the government now gets paid before an employee does. Understand that before that, taxes were not taken out. You paid as you went, which is really interesting. The employees basically lost complete control of their money, and the gap between gross and net pay has kept growing. Tax rates have gone up, and about to again. Employees work harder, earn more, and take home less. This is a really important point to point out. The more money you make, the harder you'll work, and you're going to take home less. Most people don't understand that as an employee. So regardless if, the minimum wage is $5 or $10 or $20 or whatever the hell it is, as it goes up, you're going to work harder, you're going to earn more, and then get more taken away. So you're going to have less in the end. But people are stupid, and they don't understand economics or math. So that's unfortunate. In 1986, most in the S quadrant were using the same tax loopholes as big business. Andrew's here. What's happening, sir? In 1986, the tax reform came after self-employed. So doctors, lawyers, small businesses, specialists, consultants, real estate brokers, stockbrokers, and anybody else who is 1099. Today, the 1099 person pays the most in taxes. So if you're not incorporated and you don't understand how to write stuff off, the S quadrant pays the most. Taxes, now here's the thing. The S quadrant pays the most per person, but they don't pay the most overall. The employees do, because there's more of them. A person can be in more than one quadrant. So the employee, basically he breaks this down. He's like, look, an employee wants a safe, secure job with benefits. He goes, regardless of the pay, I don't care if you have somebody making $200,000 a year, they're going to say that, or somebody who makes $20,000 a year. They're like, well, I just wanted something safe. I just wanted something secure. I just wanted, benefits. I just wanted to show up and disappear and hide out. They're looking for you right now, regardless of the pay. These people seek long-term careers. Don't like the fear of failing. They want a steady paycheck, and they resist and fear change. Most of them, and that's true because I've had a bunch of conversations with people, and that's, basically what they tell me. Or you have the, I deserve this. You have the entitled, I've worked so hard at school and I'm so far in debt. I deserve, society owes me. I wish I could kidnap some of those people and move them somewhere. Like Venezuela. They may change jobs more. They may change jobs for more money, but they usually have to invest more money in degrees and more money in giving up their freedom for promise of better pay. Most MBA students dream of owning a business. No. He said most MBA students, when interviewed, talk about getting a good job. So here you have the business people talking about working for somebody else, which is, it's really funny to me. Which is why Gary Vaynerchuk says, the worst place to learn entrepreneurship is school, which is pretty much true. He goes, because that's not what it's built for. It's, it's not that it's a bad thing. It's just not what it's built for. Can you make more in the E quadrant and pay less taxes? He goes, the short answer is no. So then he moves on to the self-employed or specialist employed. If you want things done right, do it yourself. That was kind of their motto. Regardless if they're doctors or lawn care or beauty or whatever they do, the words are basically the same, which is nobody does it better than me, which is why a lot of times they go self-employed. The issue with the S quadrant is when you stop working, so does their income. When they stop working, so does their income, because you're only going to bring in, so does their income. No, I think that was right. Okay. The S stands for specialist. The best way to save in taxes in the S quadrant is start working and acting in the B quadrant. What is the B quadrant? The B quadrant is big business. I'm looking for the best people. This is where your recruiters are. This is the whole foundation of building in MLM, direct sales, network marketing, building a sales force, building a sales team, building a company. The key is to do it traditionally. You're going to spend all your money. You're at 100% risk, and the likelihood of success is just as low as an MLM, sometimes more. The difference is if MLM doesn't work out, you just keep working your job. And if your business doesn't work out, you're completely fucked and homeless in most cases, because they will come take everything. So the B quadrant is I'm looking for the best people. These are the recruiters and team builders. B stands for big business. So in his eyes, it's 500 employees or more contributing to one income. There's a gentleman by J. Paul Getty. J. Paul Getty said, I would rather have 1% of 100 people's effort than 100% of my own. He would rather build a big business. He's like, it just works out better that way. Frank, how are you? 99, so the SBA considers a big business 99 employees or more, regardless of what it makes. So if you have a business that does like $7 billion, but there's only 80 people there, they consider that a small business versus a big business is over 99 employees. An entity is really simply a legal form of ownership. It's a legal way to own, whether it's an S Corp, C Corp, LLC, et cetera, et cetera. Consult an attorney, consult an accountant before you go do anything. So that way you get professional advice. And by the way, they're not all the same. Because sometimes you can talk to an accountant or you can talk to a tax professional that is an employee and doesn't, it's not that they don't understand, it's they're not geared towards big business. So you want to get the right person, right? Debbie's here. Hello. Entrepreneurs have the ability to take an idea and turn it into a massive business. That's the main thing here. Chris, what's happening? The opportunity to reduce taxes in the B quadrant are almost unlimited. So that brings us to the I quadrant, right? So we've gone over the employee, we've gone over the self-employed, we've gone over the big business. Here's the last one, the I quadrant. How do I raise the money to invest in my project, or watch this, to invest in someone else's project? How did I learn more? How do I earn more with other people's money and pay less in taxes? That's kind of the I quadrant's motivation. The quality of our life is the quality of the questions we ask ourselves on a continued basis. Think about this. These are questions, right? How do I raise money to invest in this project? Or how do I earn more with other people's money, invest in other people's projects, and pay less in taxes? Those are questions that are being asked. They're very different questions than what the employee is asking. Where can I find a job where they'll just pay me enough just to pay my bills? Understand that most people, I mean, it makes no sense at all, really. But from a safety survival mechanism, I do understand the psychology behind the insanity of going out and owing, you owe $1,800 and you look for a job that makes $1,900. Like it's pretty crazy. We're on the Unfair Advantage by Robert Kiyosaki. Unfair Advantage is the book, Becky. So how do I raise money? The quality of our life. Okay, we went over that. Other people's money. Other people's money. Using other people's money is literally the best and easiest way to make more and reduce your taxes. And this is Robert Kiyosaki. Again, I'm not a tax consultant. He said, basically, to boil this down, the employees work for someone else. S's work for themselves. B's have others work for them. And then the I's have other people's money work for them, which is really cool. The E and S work for money, and the B and I create assets that work for them, and they're the ones that have all the tax advantages, which is kind of cool. A true capitalist. So all B's and I's are capitalists, individuals who took an idea, created a business, used other people's money, and grew a business, right? They also created jobs, which we'll get to why they get tax benefits. They spent their time thinking big and focusing on asset creation, which makes it easier to attract capital. People like to invest in things that are big, employ a lot of people, spread out that risk over multiple locations. It's very hard to get somebody to invest in a small business where you're a specialist because you're not investing in a business that has a system, you're investing in a person that has a talent. If that person's gone, your business is gone, which is why it's hard to get money like that. The S quadrant have issues raising money and investment capital because the risk is high. It's based on skill, not system. Schools are set up to produce what? E's, employees, and S's, self-employed. They're really more geared towards E's than they are S's. Changing quadrants, which is why they say, what do you want? What profession do you want to choose? They don't talk about anything else. What profession do you want to be in? What are you trained to do? You need this schooling for this sort of job, which is absolutely incorrect now, but they're still selling that. Changing quadrants. Define your core values. What must you have each day to live? So these are some good questions. He said, do you need a steady paycheck? Do you need a steady paycheck? These are just questions to ask. Do you have leadership skills? Do you have sales skills? How do you handle stress? Can you make decisions and follow through? Can you play the long-term game? Can you handle other people's personalities? Can you be organized? Can you plan? Can you grow and keep learning? How do you handle failure? Do you work well with others and on teams? Do you like your work? Do you love what you do? Is your work getting you to where you want to go? These are all questions that he said you need to ask to figure out what your core values are. And the reason you want to figure that out is that's the way you're going to change quadrants. So simplifying, the E's and S's usually are looking for some form of security. Some form of security. I want to get trained in this, and I just want to do this. The problem is the world's changing so fast, you really don't have the advantage of just sitting there doing the same thing. The B and the I seek freedom and understand risk, basically. How do you change quadrants? The easiest answer is change friends. So these are a couple different quotes from different people. You become like the 5 people you spend the most time with, Jim Rohn. You will become the sum of the 5 people you're around. Think and Grow Rich. Show me your friends and I'll show you your future, Dan Pena. The different quadrants attract different people based on personality, right? D types and I types usually like and will engage in risk more. Why? Because they're active personalities that are optimistic and kind of see best case scenarios. What is the problem? The problem is they see best case scenarios and they'll jump into it and don't realize all the problems. They don't realize all the stuff that's coming at them. They'll just jump in because they see everything in a perfect scenario. I have a lot of friends like this. John Maxwell's like this. John Maxwell says, the reason I have some of the people around me that I do is because my way of thinking, I think in perfect scenarios. And he goes, I have a rule of thumb. If I think it's going to take 2 weeks, it's going to take 4. If I think it's going to take a week, it's going to take 2. If I think it's going to take a year to do a project, it's going to take 2 years. Why? Because I'm never factoring in all the shit that goes wrong. He didn't say shit. I did. But actually, he did at one point say something like that. He's like, look, I grew up in a church, but I'm not perfect. And he did. Yeah, his dad was a pastor. So, different quadrants attract different people. Generally, people with the same core values and attitudes. So what's the best way to meet new people that you want to meet? Well, they said the best way is to join companies, attend classes, attend seminars, and attend workshops. I've met some of the coolest people who have like-minded, in real estate classes, in direct sales, in self-improvement, like the Grant Cardone 10X event that we're going to go to, or we've ordered, Network Marketing Pro, you're around a group of people who are involved. Whether it's a tax seminar or a real estate seminar, it's some kind of alternative education. Music can do this too. You meet great people at concerts and things like that, but it's workshops and classes. Because at a concert, you've got 3 things going on. You have alcohol, you have drugs, and you have people who have lost their mind. And that's okay. That's what that event's for. So it's a little bit harder to necessarily meet people, although the music might be like-minded, the rest of it isn't. The question, where are people you need to meet? Where are the people you need to meet? Where are they at? Where are they, what are they around? So you have to look at what are the experts doing in your field? Where are they at? Where are they going? And that's where you go. So in general, you have to learn a new subject and learn a new vocabulary. And there's a book out called The Vocabulary of the Rich. And the vocabulary of the rich is much different than the vocabulary of the middle class or the poor. List 5 people you spend the most time with. This is a good plan. List the 5 people you spend the most time with. Which quadrant are they in? What do they make? What lifestyle do they have? And is that the lifestyle you want? Because you're basically going to be the sum of the 5 people you spend time with. Which quadrant? Okay, so what is wrong with a job? This is kind of good. He said the answer is taxes, no security, no control, and no freedom. You are not, if you work a job, they can fire you. In Indiana, they can fire you for any reason. It's an employer-based state. In most cases, they can fire you and find a reason to fire you. And then you have to fight people like, they can't do that. That's, okay, but then you're going to have to hire a lawyer to prove that. You're going to have to go to court. You're going to have to be out of work. You're going to have to wait on a court date and then go fight that. Most of the time people lose in that scenario. And I'm not saying that's the right way to do it. I'm just saying it happens. The long-term answer is the harder you work, the more money you make, and the higher your taxes become. 3 types of taxes for 3 different incomes. First of all, you have earned income. That's basically you putting in the time and then earning the money back. 2 is portfolio income, like paper assets. And then 3, passive income, which is owning some kind of asset that basically spits off a profit or dividend. Earned income. And, people are like, what is a dividend? What is this? What is that? That's the vocabulary that you need to learn. Earned income. People who have a job, people who try to get out of debt, people who buy a house with traditional financing, people who have retirement plans like 401ks, the Pavlov dog. Hey, we are telling you to go do this. You went and did this, and now you're kind of like, hey, this isn't working out. No shit. It was never supposed to work out. They didn't build the system around employees so it works out for you. The system was built for employees to trap them to build the wealth of the people who are running the show. And here's the thing. You have a choice to go run the show yourself. The problem is you've been trained not to, which is unfortunate. You have to train yourself out of that. Tax laws reward those that grow companies. It basically, watch this, I figure, this is something that I wrote because I was just trying to think of it differently. The economy and the tax laws reward creators. People who create jobs get tax breaks. People who create housing, this was really interesting. People who create housing get tax breaks. Why? Because it brings in tax revenue for the city, for the state, and for the country. So there's not only tax breaks, but sometimes there's even free money to get, which is even cooler. Create opportunities for other tax breaks. So if you're able to create an opportunity for another tax break, energy does this, which is a big race right now. Meaning race, it's a big fight right now in not only in the country but in the world. But if all you know how to do is show up, hand somebody their stuff, and put the money in the register, you're not really creating a lot. You're maintaining. You're just existing. You're using up. You're a consumer. And unfortunately, there's no tax breaks for you. If you're a consumer, you pay the most in taxes. You make the least amount of money, but you also pay the most amount of money in taxes. Why? Because you are a consumer, not a creator. Next is portfolio income. Now, portfolio income typically is sold as capital gains. That's what he says. It's sold as capital gains. Capital gains is really trading. So you're buying something to turn around and sell it, whether it's stock, whether it's mutual funds, whether it's, you're like, no, but I'm keeping it. No, you're not. You want to sell it eventually. You want it to go up and then you want to sell it. That's the whole idea behind capital gains. And the promise is that it will always go up. Is that true? The answer is no. No, it doesn't always go up. In fact, sometimes it goes down and down and down and down and down, like it's about to. So, and the reason I say that is because if it goes up continually, it eventually comes back down. That's, it has nothing to do with like right now. It's just, that's what happens. And it doesn't matter who's in control. Capital gains, the investment world, investing for capital gains is not really investing, but trading, which is why it's taxed that way. And it's taxed heavily. Trading is buying something in order to sell it for a profit. Fix and flip real estate guys are really traders, is what he said. Capital gains equals portfolio income. Cash flow equals passive income. So it's the objective. There are also real estate people who acquire properties to create cash flow, and they get more tax advantages. Kim and Robert, meaning Kiyosaki, invest 90% of their time and effort into cash flow activities or cash flow investments. It's a very important lesson. A person with a high financial IQ knows how to convert different incomes for maximum tax efficiencies. So he, of course, gets asked the question, why not stocks, bonds, and mutual funds? He goes, because real estate's too easy. He goes, that's the first reason. Real estate's just too easy. He said also, and this didn't come from this necessarily book, but I've heard him say this. He goes, can you borrow money to go invest in stock? The answer is no. Can you borrow money to go invest in bonds? The answer is no. You can't go to a bank and say, I want X number of dollars because I'm going to invest in this mutual fund that says it's going to do. Think about this. The bankers know. The bankers know. Your chance of winning is so low, they won't give you the money. Like, nobody ever thinks that. They're like, no, it's secure. I've been told it's secure. By who? The people selling it to you? The people who made the market crash in the first place? That's who you're believing? But again, people don't think and they don't question anything. They just do along. Hope everything works out. Hope this is a perfect scenario. I'm just bopping along. And then they throw a fit like a little 2-year-old, like, why did all my money go away? Because you didn't pay attention. Because real estate is too easy. And you can borrow money against real estate. So that was one of the key things. He goes, look at it from this point of view. He goes, they will actually give you money. Even if you don't know what you're doing, they'll give you money to go buy real estate. Why? Because real estate has a value to create cash. And here's the thing, all real estate, and I learned this yesterday, Grant Cardone, this is really cool. He goes, all real estate does not go up in value. All real estate does not go up in value. He goes, but all real estate that creates cash flow always goes up in value. I was like, yeah, that's true. And he talked about Greece, and there's a number of countries around the world. He goes, Greece right now will give you an island. Give it to you. Why? Because that island is not producing any cash flow. It has no value. It's just a piece of land. He goes, now, they'll give it to you with the intent that you could build something that will create cash flow. So you want a free island? Figure that one out. And learn to speak Greek. Or thinking of what else is there. Sicily. The Turkish islands are there, so you'd have to learn, maybe a couple different languages. You can borrow money against real estate. You cannot borrow money against stocks, mutual funds, and bonds. The issue with paper assets is control. You have no control. In 1986, only real estate investors and business owners could enjoy 1031 exchange. Now, for those of you who don't know what a 1031 exchange, it's an exchange for a like or more valuable property. So basically what you're able to do is when selling an investment property, you have the ability to fill out a form, a 1031 exchange, and you're exchanging one property for another property of equal or more value. And there's a bunch of different terms to it. You have like 6 months to identify. You have to identify 3 properties and pay for them and transfer the money. I need enough money for a boat to get me there. Yeah, exactly. Let me tell you this, if that's the plan is not going to work. You better figure that one. You probably won't want to fly there. So, passive income is the key. Passive income, cash flow, which equals freedom. It's basically freedom income. Most people struggle financial due to their definitions. See, due to their definitions, they define certain things as risky that aren't. They define certain things that are security as they're not. You'll notice most of the definitions you get from the government are exactly the opposite of what they sell, right? Affordable Care Act that wasn't affordable, right? And that's just one of many. Had a very good friend that is... I'm just going to say, is strongly left, like 100% left, meaning they're liberal. And she worked in the insurance business. She goes, this makes absolutely no sense economically. It is the worst program I've ever seen. And then broke it all down. It was really interesting. Most people struggle financially, and that's not to say people don't need healthcare. That's not what I'm saying. But she's like, the way that they did it was terrible. Most people struggle financially due to their definitions. Poor think their house, cars, and TV are assets. And they're told they're assets by who? The government. Write them down, and then you try to get a tax advantage off of them, and there's no tax advantages. The rich look at those as liabilities. If it takes money out of your pocket without putting anything back, it's a liability. Most tax laws are about reducing tax laws. So out of the 50 million pages that they write in, he said the majority, like 80% of all the laws on the books, are actually the loopholes, actually how to reduce taxes. The problem is you have to be in one of 2 categories, income-wise, to be able to take advantage of all of those different rules. And what are they? The business and investor. The employees and self-employed do not get those advantages. So the government may have stimulus plans, tax stimulus plans, and he says Kim and I participate only in stimulus projects we know and understand. So that's another reason they're like, why don't you invest in this? He goes, because that's not something I know and understand. It's easy and simple and I can do around the world. If you want to know where the government wants you to put your money, look at the tax laws. What is your objective is another good question. Like, what are you trying to create? Robert and Kim is to create cash flow by acquiring assets and earning tax advantages to keep more of the money that they've made. Tax is a massive subject. It's massive. I mean, there's so much information on it. Taxes are the single largest expense of most people. If you look at all the money you make and what you pay out in taxes, it's probably the largest expense you have beyond your house, beyond food, beyond entertainment, beyond anything. And if you're an employee, it's taken away from you before you even get to see it, which is why most people are like, I have no idea what I pay in taxes. Tax rules are written for specific quadrants, meaning income quadrants. Not all tax advisors are equal. You know, some are, and he said most of the tax advisors are either E's and S's, so they see everything from that point of view because that's what they're looking at all the time. Sometimes they don't even know to look at some of the other stuff or that it exists. And I've been in that situation where I've asked some people and they're like, I didn't even know that had changed. It did. Be careful who you get advice from. Taxes are part of life. The question is, will you learn about it enough to take advantage of it, or will it take advantage of you, right? So taxes are huge. Michael Murphy, what's happening, sir? So this is a really cool chapter, the chapter on taxes. Taxes are one of the biggest things you pay. You have to get a hold of it, and it's one of the 5 unfair advantages. And we're going to talk more about other advantages tomorrow. What else?
I think that's it. And that Robert actually does a very good job of breaking down the details of how all this stuff works. And the more I read and the more I listen to his stuff, the more I've been able to understand how exactly money works, because growing up, I did not have a very good financial education at all. And most of us didn't. And what he talked about in this chapter with surrounding yourself with the people that have the lifestyle that you want, I had to do that before when I left to college. I took a look around and I was like, you know what? I don't like who I am. I don't like the people around me. And I need to change something. And I had to change the people around me first before I could change, because the more you spend time with people who don't have what you want, you're not going to get what you want. It's not that you can't spend time with those people every once in a while. I still stay in touch with my friends that I've had since first grade, 5th grade. Like I have 2 friends that I'm still friends with to this day. It's just since they're not on the same track that I want to be on, I don't spend as much time with them. I still keep in contact, but limited. Because also, I'm at a certain point now where certain conversations I can't have with them because they don't get it. But I spend a lot more time with people who are going to real estate class, doing things in real estate, or doing all these things that I want to be doing, so that way if I have a question I can ask them. But also just like going to the gym. I was actually talking with a friend about this yesterday, and we were talking about how she switched gyms and the difference in the culture in the gyms. The first gym she was going to, it was CrossFit, but the exercises were more built for people who, the exercises were built more for people who are a lot more heavy set and needed more of like the beginner course of getting into fitness, and not so much stuff that was going to challenge. And she's just like, now, I'm not big, but I'm also not skinny either. But she's just like, what I'm finding is that it really wasn't challenging me, and the people around me were a lot larger than me. So she's like, I figured this was probably just more of the beginner course. When she switched gyms and got around a different group of people, she took a look around and she's like, whoa, these people look great. And I do not. She's like, okay, I need to step up my game more because these people look a lot better than I do, and I feel very weak right now. So what it does when you surround yourself with that group of people who are doing so much better, you then step up your game, because then it becomes on. Everybody's trying to call me right now. And you want to join that page, because each one of these chapters, we're going to upload the notes for you, so that way you can have those notes. Or if you guys want to go back, take notes on this video, you can do that as well. It's always better if you take your own notes, because you're going to retain the information a lot better. But if you can't, we got notes for you. Also, go to YouTube, follow us on YouTube. Each one of these videos is going to be uploaded to there, and we will see you guys tomorrow.